All right. Hello, everyone. I am here with the 4.0 graduates, and we thought we would get together and just kind of talk to you tonight about the importance of 4.0, what the point is of staying in Rock the Basics Group 4.0, and really the pivotal moments in their business during this training that they each took away from being in 4.0. So I kind of wanted to do an interview style and go around and just talk to each of these girls about their biggest takeaway and what kind of made things click for them while they were in 4.0. We talked about it before, so they each know the topic that they're going to be talking about. But I thought it was important to share it with you guys because it's so easy to start Rock the Basics, get in prep, do 1.0, start 2.0, and then kind of fall off and then redo 2.0. Maybe skip a month, then think about doing it again, and kind of just getting in that rat race of not ever completing Rock the Basics through 4.0, when I think 4.0 for me was game changing as far as my mindset went and my business. It really made me see things like a CEO and a business owner, and I know you hear that in trainings, but for me, I was just kind of like showing up, doing my power hours, getting on calls, but I was just kind of going through the motions. And once I completed 4.0 and really like dug deep within myself is when I started having more passion behind what I was doing as a coach. And I realized where I could take this business versus where I was just sitting with it. So we'll start with Jennifer. She's going to talk about just kind of like the responsibility in that aspect and what she learned about responsibility in your business in 4.0.
All right. One of the things that stood out to me the most during 4.0 was when we would have our weekly Zooms. That was always something I looked forward to every week, was our weekly Zooms with Vito. Would be when we would go around and talk and do a little check-in on how our week had been going. If you'd had, a low week or a bad week where you didn't, you hadn't really been doing much or you hadn't really seen much progress, a lot of times people get in the habit when you're talking to other coaches of, well, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then I didn't really do this, and I'm not seeing any benefit on this, and we start to kind of complain, and then, you're basically talking to Vito with everyone else kind of listening, and he is a no excuses guy, so he would always come back with, well, why not, why are you doing this, why aren't you doing this? And he didn't have like any he wasn't impressed with how much you were juggling, or he wasn't, he didn't feed into people complaining about stuff. He would just want to dig into, why are you doing this, why are you not doing this, and basically kind of putting it back on us that in the end, it was our responsibility. We couldn't put blame on other people or on things that were happening in our lives for how we were managing or not managing our business, and how we were pushing forward or not pushing forward in our business too every week. So basically, there was no excuses for, your business moving forward or not moving forward. It was just all on you. You couldn't put it on someone else or on other things happening, because inevitably it was your business. You had to take ownership for it. So that was kind of.
Yeah, I love, he's so much like that, stop glorifying busy. Everyone's busy. Busy is a bullshit excuse. We all have stuff going on. It doesn't matter if you have kids, if you don't have kids, life is busy, and we're in this day and age where it's just, when someone says how's it going? Oh, good, super busy. It's just an automatic response. And then we just, all of a sudden that just becomes our normal, and it's an excuse, and we're feeding ourselves with bullshit. It's no, I actually do have time to get in a 30-minute workout. I've just been wasting time on Facebook or wasting time doing this, when if I would have just been strict with my time, I could have got it done. And I would have been done a long time ago, but now I just wasted an hour doing something else. Or, it's just, he's not about glorifying being busy, and doesn't.
And he's not afraid to ask questions that are uncomfortable. Yeah.
Right.
When you're having a conversation with another coach and there's like a glaring, like, okay, I could point this out to her or to him, but I don't want to make them feel bad because he's not, our friend really. He's just there to coach us. He'll ask the uncomfortable questions like, why all the time. So.
And I should kind of talk about too, in the other Rock the Basics, there's a lesson every day and there's a Zoom every week. Now it's a go live in Team Rockstar Fit, which is really nice because then you really don't have an excuse to miss any of the training. But in 4.0, it's one lesson per week. You listen to it just before you get on your call, I think on Thursday nights, if it's still the same. And then Thursday nights, you kind of just dissect that lesson from the week, and that's kind of what your conversations are centered around. And then you bring any, struggles that you've had that week, and he kind of talks about it and relates it to that lesson. So it's nice. It's the best Rock the Basics, and it's the least amount of work. You just have to show up for that Zoom, which tends to get lengthy, like 1 to 2 hours, more, depending on if you got a chatty Cathy in your group. But it is nice because he doesn't know your business. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know your family. He doesn't know anything about you really besides what you're telling him. So it is nice to get that like straight truth because we need it. Okay, let's go to Corie. She is going to talk about mindset.
All right. So a big thing for me that shifted in 4.0 is my mindset. If you knew me prior to coaching, you would have known that I was a huge Debbie Downer, negative Nancy. I was actually just talking about this with Teresa and a couple of friends who didn't know me before. And it really surprised me to hear people be shocked that they didn't know that I was like that. It was bad. Life was happening to me and woe is me. And it was so bad, and nobody else could know how hard my life was. Nobody else could know what I was going through, what my struggles were. And I remember it was this one Zoom, and I don't even remember what the topic was, but we started talking about reasons that things that are holding you back in your life, not just in your business, but in life. And I brought up this conversation that I had with my dad. I had to have been 7 years old, and it's like something that has held me back my entire life. It's a conversation where he made a comment that made me feel like I wasn't good enough. And so constantly I've always been fighting that comment rings in my head over and over and holds me back from achieving things. And I was sitting there and I was crying, and, Vito was very understanding and he was very kind, but he just said to me point blank, is your dad sitting next to you right now? Is he telling you that right now? He goes, you are choosing to bring that memory up. Every time you tell yourself you're not good enough, it's because you are making a choice to bring up a negative memory. And so it just like flipped. And I'm like, you're right. I'm choosing to let something that was said to me 25 years ago affect how I go about my daily life. So I just really learned to take like ownership of my mindset and my life in that moment. Like coaching had helped a lot, and I had made a lot of changes up until that point. But there was just still that wall and something that was holding me back. And just Vito, those words ring in my head all the time. Like every time I start to have a negative thought, I think, you're choosing to bring that negative thought up. You're choosing to bring that negative situation. Nobody's next to you telling you these things. It's you bringing it up. So that was just huge for me. I don't remember what the lesson was. I don't remember what we were talking about, but I just remember honestly having a breakdown, and I'm sure you'll have one in 4.0 because it's almost inevitable that you'll have one Zoom where you cry and poor Vito's there with a bunch of girls crying, and he's not mean about it. He's understanding. He knows that you're digging deeper than you've ever dug before with 4.0, and it can seem a little intimidating, but I think not even just business-wise, this was life-changing for me. People who knew me prior to coaching and know me now, like I've come miles from where I used to be. And I attribute a lot of that to coaching and a lot of that to 4.0. So.
Okay, chills. Like, that's why I love it. It's because it's not just about inviting to challenge groups and how to post on social media and all that surface level stuff that is not CEO like that is common sense. If you want to be successful, you have to do X, Y, and Z in this business. But that kind of stuff is deeper than that. And you've applied that in your life, not just with coaching. And that's really cool. Like, people would pay a lot of money for like that intense of a breakthrough. That's huge. Oh, very cool. Okay, Brittany is going to talk about just kind of like your roles in life and the way you show up. As she's on her phone, like juggling the kiddos. She's a rock star.
Yes. Really's helping me. So definitely you hop on the Zooms and everything just stops. And, Vito's asking these questions of you and asking you to dig deep in the different lessons. And I hopped on the Zoom and I was the first person on there. And he just totally caught me. Everything was like frantic up to that moment. And I stop and I sit down and he's like, "What's new? What's going on?" And I made the mistake of saying not much. And he's like, "You should have a lot going on. Like, we have a lot going on here." And in that moment, I had one of those like aha moments too, where I just stopped and I was like, my mind was just racing. And I just had so much going on up to that point of sitting down to get on that Zoom that I like couldn't even collect my thoughts. And so I had this moment of, when I'm a mom, I have my mom hat on. When I'm a CEO, I have my CEO hat on. When I'm a coach, I have my coach hat on. And it just helps put things in perspective when you want to work on your business and where you want to take it. And when you're trying to help people, like where you need to slow down and where you need to. I really just did a backflip. See this right here. So it's wonderful. And we, talk about coaching and coaching from home as moms. And I do a lot of pocket coaching, but it definitely just changed and put in perspective of, I don't know, how to focus on those roles better.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, like with young kids, it is hard. You can sit down one week and be like, I am going to wake up every day at 5. I'm going to do my power hour. I'm going to get my workout done before the kids wake up at like 6:30. And then your kid wakes up at 3 and 4. And then they're up at 5:45 for the first time in 3 months. And it's like, well, here goes that idea. So it's hard not to just all of a sudden be like, I can't do anything. Like, my plan was messed up. Forget it. Like, maybe tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and goes and you don't do it. But like, I think the point there is, you have to pocket coach sometimes when, you have kids. It's just inevitable. If you're a mom, that's just what you do. But to be able to, when you're in that mom role, shut off those other roles, because it's hard to not be present in one place if you're thinking about all the other stuff. And I talk about this often, but my friend Meg always says, like, phone in a bowl. Put your phone in the bowl when you're making dinner and with your kids until they go to bed. And like, don't be on your phone. Be present with your family. And that's really hard too. But even then, that other role, when you're working your business, try to be present in your business. But as moms, it's difficult. Like, you've got little people that need you. But in those times that you do have undivided attention to work your business, like, hustle and do it, and don't be distracted by stuff that isn't going to move you forward. I really like that lesson too. That was good. Okay. Let's go to Megan. She's going to talk about clarity.
Yeah, so I'd say one of the greatest things about 4.0 was the fact that no. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Frozen? Sorry, my internet must be bad. You know what's funny? I'm right across the street from Charter, and I have terrible internet connection.
That
How
is
does
funny.
that work?
Oh, well.
But so, I liked how laid back everything was. Like, it was extremely intimidating, especially at the beginning, because I think Vito just is how blunt he is. But it really, it got down to he got to the point right away, which was great. But he'd sit there and drink wine and everything. Like, it got to be like where it was a close relationship with everybody, I think. But yeah, I really liked the clarity thing because I think going into it, I really struggled with finding my avatar and finding who I'm talking to. So what we did was we made a list of all the roles that we have in life, and then a list of who we want to be, like what our goals are, and also what we work on, like on a daily basis. And we compared them all, and I think we crossed off everything except for 3. And basically the point of that whole lesson was to just start saying no. Like, why do you have, for you to say that you're busy all the time, well, why are you busy? Like, are you saying yes to things that aren't important to you in life or that aren't your main goals? Like, you can only focus on so many goals at one time. You can't be like, I have a list of 10 that I'm working on. Like, you should only be working on 2 or 3. So that was huge for me. And some of the stuff it was hard to say no to because sometimes it would be like family, my sister calling me up and, oh, do you want to do lunch? Like, oh, we did last week, so no. Sometimes it's hard, but you do have to keep in mind what's important.
Right, and I feel like to an extent everybody is a people pleaser. I mean, if you're not, you're just kind of like a bitch. I don't know. Like, I feel like we all have it in us, like, oh, sure, like, let me check what I'm doing. And then inside you're like, what am I going to do? But it does feel good. When I did that lesson, when you said that, I'm like, I vividly remember this lesson. I was working full-time, coaching probably like 20-ish hours a week, going to meets on weekends away, and just like newly pregnant with Parker. And then Eric had his stuff going on too. So I was just like frazzled all the time. And I never wanted to go to gymnastics practice, but I was doing it because I knew the program didn't have anybody else to do it. And I quit coaching after that lesson because I'm like, that is literally taking up so much of my life and I don't even want to be there. So it felt really good, but it's like, list everything that you're doing in your week. If you don't want to be doing something, just be confident enough in like who you are, where you want to go, and say no. It feels so good to say no once you get used to being okay with saying no. At least that's what I found. It's like very freeing.
Yeah, and it doesn't make you any less of a good person because now you can focus on those 3 things even more instead of just half-assing them. Sorry.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's so true. Like, it kind of goes with the whole, like, hats. Like, we wear, 6 or 7 hats? 6? 7? 6 or 7? But I remember when I first made that list, it was like 15 things long, and I'm like, I have to knock this down to 7? Like, I don't really want to. And then I'm like, then once I started digging really deep, I'm like, okay, this needs to go. This needs to go. And it felt really good. Okay. Hi, Bear. Okay, Amanda is going to talk about finding your pain point and really figuring out your why, not just surface level whys like maybe some of you can relate to, like saying my family or things like that, but really finding your why and how she found her.
All right. So like Teresa said, we all kind of came into 4.0 and we had, again, our surface level, very common reasons why we're coaching or why we believe in it. And again, they were very surface level things, whether it was, I want to be a stay-at-home mom, or, I want to provide for my family. I want to be a stay-at-home mom, but I want to provide for my family. So different levels of that. Some people it was to pay off debt. But that only goes so far, and it only speaks to so many people. And so Charlotte was actually the one who kind of pushed and asked why. And I remember her she had me on the call there, or on the Zoom, and I was cheery and happy and talking through my why, and I was feeling really good about it. And I can't even remember which spot it was. I think it was something about maybe like loving myself and the skin I'm in, that sort of a thing. And she picked up on the tiniest little crack in my voice. And I was continuing to talk, and she said, I'm going to stop you right there, and I'm going to bring you back. Tell me about this. Sorry. Tell me about this part. And I didn't make eye contact with her when she asked me. And she said, yep, that right there. And immediately had a lump in my throat, and I didn't want to talk about it. And I didn't want to open up and kind of expose all of that. But to get to that spot where, I'm not going to cry now, but to get to that spot where I could open up and be honest about, I had literally hit the lowest low I've ever experienced, and how scary it was, how painful it was to be that low and know what my hopes and dreams and all of those things were and how far apart they were. And so that became, she said, that right there, that's your pain point. That is your reason why. That's why you show up. That's why you dig in. That's why you expose yourself. Talk to those people. And so, again, that avatar that Megan just spoke to, it's not, hey, I'm looking to talk to moms who have 3 kids and farmers' wives and things like that. It's, you have to reach that point where, yes, you can incorporate those pieces of you that are surface level, but you also have to talk to, I have anxiety, I've struggled with eating issues, I have depression, but those things aren't negative because I'm still a capable person. I'm still, happy and all of those things, but just knowing and understanding and accepting that makes you who you are, and how much more appealing that is and relatable that is to your audience, and the amount of people that you can connect with if you expose all of that and become vulnerable.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's so true. I mean, it's easy to just, you don't want to admit not necessarily your flaws, but like, we all as women, I think it's like, oh, how are you? Oh, I'm doing really good. How are you? No, it's like, even I find like if I'm ever like venting to like Corie about Eric or something, I'm always like, I just had to vent to you because I just got to get it off my chest. And it's like, it's okay. Like, you do not have to be this like picture perfect. What is that anyways? Like, right? And we all have our stuff, and every single person reading your posts has their thing. And like, maybe you can relate to them on depression. Maybe you can relate to them on the struggle of body image. Those are the things that are going to make people connect with you, not going like this and saying like, drink my shake today. That's the level of going from like coach to business owner, and like understanding your why and how to get it out there and how to post on social media versus just your sweaty selfies and your shake in a recipe. Like, digging deeper and making sure that you're getting that message across. Okay, so to wrap it up, I think this would be fun just listening to Amanda. Can we go around one more time and just say, what was your why when you first started coaching? And how did your why change, and what is it now? And I think as your coach, you definitely kind of evolve your why as you hit goals, as your life changes, as things come up. But I think it's really important to put that out there so people know, especially like us as coaches, so we can support each other because we are all in this together. So Jennifer, do you want to go first?
Sure. When I first started coaching, my why was I want to coach so that I keep myself accountable to doing my workouts and staying on track with my eating. Now it's so I continue to push myself and don't fall into depression and anxiety, and keep working on goals specifically related for myself to financial freedom, which will help my anxiety and depression. because money is a tool.
She adds that. I think of you often. I'm not kidding. Like if I'm like, I should go get a coffee, I literally think of you and I'm like, I don't need a coffee. I don't need to spend $4 on a coffee. Like, and that's from your posts and the messages you're putting out there.
And I will make you your coffee. I'm going to go work 2 hours tomorrow after track practice to work on that. And making
See, and like without coaching, would you be in this position? Would you have gotten another job at a coffee shop to snowball your debt? Would you be doing David Ramsey's Financial Peace University? Would you, like
I would be continuing to be in denial that I have a problem with money. Yeah. Yep. And I absolutely would not have talked about it with anyone.
Right. Because it's embarrassing because you're not perfect, right?
Yeah.
Pretty close, but. Okay. Let's go, Corie.
All right. So my why when I first started coaching was I wanted to lose my baby weight and I wanted to help my friends be successful in their business. So I signed up. And now it's because my mom worked very hard when I was a kid, and I know it was to make up for what my dad lacked, and she did a lot to give me a lot, to give me hockey and all the sports that I wanted to do. And I know that it really stretched her. It stretched her very thin. And she often reflects on the time she missed with me because she was working. And I don't want to have that. I want to be the mom who picks my kid up from school, brings them to practice, who sits at the table and does their homework with them, who cooks for them. It breaks my heart that I don't get home until 5:30 at night and Olivia goes to bed at 6:30. I have an hour with her every night, and I don't want that. I don't want that for my family. I don't want that for Olivia. I want her to have a mom who's present, who's healthy, and who shows up every single day and is her best.
So cool. And like same with that, would you have ever had the tools or the resources to be able to even like put that dream into reality, like within grasp, like within the next couple of years? It definitely be a possibility. It's just.
No, it would not. I mean, I would be stuck driving an hour each way to my job that I love my job, don't get me wrong, but I would never without coaching have ever thought that it would be possible to love what I do, but also love being there for my kids. And because that was never modeled to me. My mom hated her job, but she did it for me, for my well-being. But I want my kids to see me loving my job, but also not living to work.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's a norm too. Like if you don't like your job, I remember complaining when I wanted to quit my job and someone saying like, nobody loves their job. Like, no, there are things everybody hates about their job. You do not go to work and love your job every day. And it's like, why not? Like, why can't that be a possibility? Why, like, I really do think there are people that love their job and I want to be one of them. And yeah, so cool. Okay, Brittany.
So I hands down opened my coach account for the discount on Shakeology and to stay in the accountability groups. So since then, really my biggest why kind of evolved with like the national wake up calls. But sticking on track with 4.0, I did learn a lot in 4.0 about myself and the way that I feel and why I coach and dig deep. And I've had a lot of realization that it's not just a stay-at-home mom that I want to be, but a stay-at-home working mom. And a lot of those same things that I want to help provide for my family and have more. And it's not that, like the connection and all of that it brings in keeping accountable and sort of all of that tied into one is that, I don't just want to be at home, just focused on them. And when they go to school, I'm lost. I want to have adult connection and a purpose and a why, and show them that too, a drive and a passion, and along with finances. I mean, that's nice too.
Yeah, I mean, people often say like, oh, I can't work my business because my kids or whatever. But it's like, I think it was Lindsay Thompson when she spoke on our team call. She's like, I think it's good for my kids to see me working and see that, mom has to do this right now if you guys want this, or mom has to do this, and it teaches them, you work for what you have. And I don't know, I think it's cool, like you said, like you have a purpose other than just being mom and wife, because that is exhausting. It is so mentally draining. And to have like this outlet and this friend group, even though it's virtual, it's like, it feels so good to like just have people who get you, and like get you more than probably some of your friends do, like as you evolve through life. Like I wouldn't tell like I don't know, I just feel like it's very different, and we can be like so open and honest, and we encourage each other and push each other to like not think small and not just sit and complain about life, but to do something about it. And I think that's more than a lot of people can say. Okay. Megan.
So my why was to keep myself accountable with working out and eating healthy, to pay for my shake, and then to help people, period. Like that's as deep as it went. I want to help people. Now, I guess I took that a little bit further through 4.0, and just I kind of like with helping people, it also helps me too to stop focusing on the negative. The picture of where do you want to be in life versus where you are, and some things you can do to try to reach those goals, but other things like, I want to be a mom, or I want to, different things like that. Like that's one thing for me. And with getting divorced when I was in my mid-20s, like all I could think about was just the negative things that have prevented me to get to where I want to be with that. So just basically getting out of that rut and stop focusing on those negative things that you can't even do anything about them. So just get out of that and embrace like where you are and what you can do, like bring positivity into your life. So like now instead of that, like I'm, training for a marathon, and I'm going to be going camping and whitewater rafting through the Grand Canyon. Like I'm doing stuff that if I was a mom, like no offense, I'm not saying that you can't or anything if you are a mom, but like I'm able to do that more guilt-free and kind of take a different passion until the mom passion pans out. So kind of helping women get out of that rut in the same time of helping myself do that.
Yeah, kind of like, it's almost like therapy sometimes, like when you post, like, gosh, it feels good to get this stuff out, but like, I know I could possibly connect with one person. And like, instead of you just like sulking and thinking like, poor me, like, when am I going to have, this opportunity, or when am I going to be able to become a mom because now I'm divorced? Like, embrace what you can control, embrace the fact that you're the only person who has control of your mindset, and to use that to propel you forward versus pull you back. Kind of like Amanda and Jennifer both mentioned, like, not getting sucked into that depression and like that terrible feeling of like feeling alone and like that there isn't anywhere to go, but just like feeling empowered and trying new things and being encouraged to dream bigger and know that like you're where you're supposed to be and you have the capability of going to where you want to go.
Yep. creating new dreams and new passions.
Yep. Exactly. And be happy that you got divorced before you have kids in the picture, coming from a divorced family. Like, honest to God, like, I don't know about your situation, but I would guess it's probably a blessing in disguise. Okay, let's go to Amanda.
All right. Gosh, my beginning why. Honestly, it was probably just to get out of the rut I was in. But it was just that glimmer of hope and possibility, or hope in new beginnings, the positivity. That was a huge drawing factor for me. And just knowing it was safe, and maybe because nobody else knew, or, I didn't know that nobody else knew Teresa and knew, the accountability group I was in. And so it was my own kind of safe haven, where nobody could judge me or question what I was doing. So that was a big reason why I got started. It's definitely still there, because all of that positivity and the team atmosphere and gaining the friendships has been huge. My why is actually still on my phone as one of my favorites. So, to live a life of purpose, to help others believe in themselves, to show others that life isn't about perfection, it's about progress, to become a leader among leaders, to provide for my family a greater understanding and belief in their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual abilities. So, and then I think that's, transformed even a little bit deeper now into definitely wanting a way out of my current job. And that's been there for a while. But it's really, really, really turning around and like, okay, you need to suck it up, get moving, do what you need to do to get the hell out of there, because it's not going to change. You can change, and you do have control over certain things. So, and again, maybe it's part of my why, but right now that's kind of a fuel that's moving me forward. So, and I think also maybe one point to share is knowing that we're constantly evolving, and it's not just that physical journey or the emotional journey or whatever, but it's learning that to adapt the whole way through. And if you don't meet that first why, that's okay, because you're not there anymore. You're, at this next step. And so I think just being really open to kind of what's coming at you and making that work for you.
Love that. Yeah. Very cool. As we were like talking, I'm like, okay, we should definitely like snowball off of this and do some sort of continuation call. I know they have the 4.0 alumni group. I'm in the Facebook group, but I've never actually gotten on a call. And now after like listening to all you guys, I'm like, maybe I should, because it's empowering. Like, sometimes to get on calls to listen to what other people say is more like rejuvenating, knowing like, okay, like these people get me, like we're all very similar. And it's just cool to be surrounded by people like that. Okay, I'm going to end the recording. Let's see.